So, hello, hello. Nice to meet you. Hello,
Hello.
welcome. Welcome to our Frame Drummers talk tonight here in TAMBURI MUNDI Frame Drum online channel. I'm happy to see you. Tonight we will talk about a very, for my or for our, I think, idea, a very important topic, the cultural exchange and also the work and the networking between musicians, of course, between frame drummers also. And so we are here together from Portugal, Daniela, Tomaz. Hello.
Hello, Murat, and thanks for inviting once more.
Thank you also for coming. By the way, you are not in Portugal at the moment, right?
I'm in Braga. I'm the north of Porto, and Teatro Circo is one of the most beautiful theaters in Portugal. A small La Scala theater. Maybe someday you come and play here.
We will come immediately. This is Dave Boyd. Hi, Dave.
Hi.
You are also in Portugal.
I am in Portugal. I'm about 40 minutes north of Lisbon.
Great, great. And Torres, you are from Colombia. Hello, welcome.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Thank you also for coming. And so it's something I think all of us, we are working with in this field of cultural exchange and networking. So I think maybe we can start with one question. Why we are doing this? I mean, it's a crazy work. It is something. Also, sometimes people say, Murat, you are busy all the time. And so what is our motivation? A big question mark. Who would like to start? Fao, you start?
I was cheering up my colleagues to start, but okay, I will start. Well, basically, I started studying music and playing music and being a performer and a composer long time ago, around 30 years ago. But then one day I asked myself, okay, this is nice to perform and to compose music. But also at the same time, I feel that I have some kind of a skill to organize, probably because of my father. And then I say, why not help, especially here in Colombia and in South America, that we don't have the festivals you guys have in Europe or in North America or even in Asia. So I traveled for many years around Asia, Europe, Africa, and many festivals, many nice meetings of world music and of percussion. And then I say, okay, I think I should not only play music and not only say, hey, come here, Fao, but also let's help to make music together and to get this community stronger. So that is my motivation.
And yes, so you have a festival in Colombia, but you also have different other activities, and we will talk later a little bit more. Also, we will watch a little bit some of your recordings. Yes. Who else?
Well, I can go now, maybe. Gender balance. No, it's in fashion right now. Well, I have a background a bit diverse, I would say. I started in architecture and then majored early music in Utrecht. And I think it was when because I did recorded and Traverso as a second subject. And I realized if I didn't find my own opportunities, I think they won't happen. It's seldom happened that during the bachelor in early music that I had to, or with the Bureau of Projects that the Department of Utrecht had, to start doing my own projects. And then I realized, like Lau said, that that I just was good at it somehow. Then I added a little bit of like, okay, I discovered I was also more or less good at finding the financial resources to organize. So it all actually developed from a necessity as a musician to find my own opportunities. Yes.
And you are also organizing you are in different projects involved. Maybe you can explain shortly.
Okay, the reason that brought me here was Encontos in Monsanto, where Murat, you were invited last year to come. It's a very nice frame drum festival around the culture of Adolf in Monsanto. It started in 2019, but I think we'll talk about it later. And I also organize a percussion festival in Portimão together with a colleague, Vasco Ramalho, and actually Dave. But at the time, it wasn't still this festival. He also came some years ago to Portimão. I also do strategic planning for a municipality in Famalicão, where I support the programming of a black box theater called Teatro Narciso Ferreira. And I also do strategic planning for a small black box theater in Gaia called Armazém 22, that is run by a dance company. So I think, and of course, I have my own early music projects with Ensemble Med and a medieval project called Na Rota do Peregrino. That's it. I think I didn't forget anything.
That's it. It's a lot. Thank you. And Dave?
The motivation for me is, part of it is political. And what I mean by that is we're given a lot of messages that about otherness. So there's us and them, whatever you can conceive that to be. There are, and part of my experience of being a musician is that it takes that away. It takes away the idea of us and them and makes it all of us together. And because I'm now at a point in my career where I'm not going to be a pop star, it's like we're not going to be rich and famous, and therefore this is the important thing for me. So there's that. Is that statement of community, and the second thing is I'm just, as an artist, terribly curious. I want to know what's going on over the horizon. I want to, when I meet musicians who can do something that I've never heard before or sing a song that I don't understand, I want to know what that is. I want to know where it comes from. And that curiosity drives me quite a lot, to the point where I end up places just going, sing me that song, that kind of stuff. So it's those two things. There's a kind of, it's stating the idea that human beings we are a collective species, and music celebrates our sense of community, as well as celebrating our sense of identity. It's not about being homogenous. It's about going, look at this is amazing over here. These people are doing this, and that's amazing too. But as well as that, I just have a deep curiosity and wonder for what people do with musical instruments in various places in the world.
Yeah, that's a good motivation also. And so maybe we can start with some recordings that you brought with you. That's a project. Maybe you can explain a little bit about...
Sure. I was very fortunate in that a festival director here in Portugal came to me and said, I will give you a budget to create whatever you want to create. Which is amazing for a start, for that as an artist, for someone to come and go, here's the money, make something amazing. And I had an idea for a long time that I wanted. So very often, and Daniela has already mentioned this, the music industry in general is dominated by guys. And I wanted to work with a group of women, and I wanted to be the only man in that ensemble. Not because I never had that role before. So I invited a group of women to come to basically develop a concert performance together. Women singers. So the idea would be that it would be 4 singers and percussionists. And that was that. And there we are. Now, to give this some kind of context, I took the budget that the festival director gave me, and I brought everybody to Portugal, and we rehearsed in the house of my wife's parents for 2 days. That's all we had. And that's pretty intense. We also ate a lot of nice food, which was part of the whole process. That we lived together in the house. We ate food. We ate all our meals together. So we ended up spending a lot of very intense, really kind of quite productive time together. And we ended up doing this performance, and I have an edit of the performance it's recorded just through a camera. We had no fancy recordings, and it was in a warehouse. It happened at the end of the harvest, so it's the warehouse where they store pumpkins and quinces. So if you can imagine, the stage is set up in the middle of this huge empty building full of quinces and stuff. But here you are, here are the girls.
Also from here, an applause.
This project still gives me, goosebumps. So the singer's Letitia Marcangeli, who comes from France, but she also studies Greek singing. Montserrat Ruiz, who's Spanish. Carolina Cantalinen, who's from Finland, and Simona Gatto, who's from Italy. So, and the reason I was able to bring this group of women together is that I had met them at festivals or at workshops at various times in the previous 10 years. And it was very quick. I called everybody and said, would you like to do this? And everyone said yes. And we didn't know what we were going to do. And so the only kind of motivation that I gave people, I said, bring a song that's yours and bring another one to give away to everyone else. So that's how we made the concert. And it was astonishing because everyone learned to sing in French, Spanish, Italian, Finnish, and Greek in 2 days. I mean, there's a lot up to talk about that project, but I don't want to, I'm enormously proud of it. And I'm sad to say that that's the only ever gig that we did.
One gig. And
yeah, we did one show, and we'd love to do it again, but it's just not been possible. It's just, people's schedules and how life has gone and the pandemic. And it's because people are quite spread out in Europe. It's very difficult to bring everybody together to one central spot, and very expensive to fly everyone from. So it's an example of what can be achieved by bringing the right people together in the right place at the right time. For me, it's probably one of the most extraordinary musical projects that I've ever been involved with, because I was notionally I was the person who was driving the project, but what that meant was I just made people soup most of the time. Once everyone was together, all my job was to make sure that everyone was comfortable and had everything that they needed, and if they had any questions or logistical problems, and to play the best that I could when I was needed. It was amazing. It was amazing,
so
truly.
A big responsibility also. And this is, beside being a musician, it's something, as Fao said, maybe not everyone is able to take care of other people, or to take this responsibility, or be able to organize.
I think one of the things that I learned a lot from doing this is how important it is to understand that even though artists will appear supremely confident and happy about the situation, you're asking someone to leave home, go to a different country where they may not be able to speak the language, and to navigate all of that, and also to get up on a stage and do the thing that they do, which is nerve-wracking enough when you're in your own country with your own people, and all that thing. And so I think making it safe is the best word that I can think of. And we were very lucky that we were able to be in someone's home for the rehearsal period. And I'm eternally grateful to my in-laws for that, because it's a different dynamic.
And yeah, so I was also invited to a festival last year, Daniela, and I must say, the hospitality in your festival was amazing. So, and I had the feeling it's not only profession, it's really, there is something more behind all the people in the staff. And also you know, all the musicians. So that is, there are sometimes festivals like very professional, but you have the feeling, okay, this is professional and a professional stage, everything. And of course, this has another spirit, but beside this, the other things are also maybe sometimes more important, that you have the feeling, okay, there is something interactive. And maybe you can little bit talk about your work, your or the festival, or in general what you are doing, more details.
Yes, I completely agree with what Dave said on bringing people, musicians, artists into a safe place. And actually, I never maybe addressed it publicly, but it's kind of a motto for me. For example, in Encontos that Murat came last year, of course, Monsanto is a magic place. It's a completely an historical village in the middle of Portugal. That belongs to this female frame drum. So I think also connects very much what Dave is saying. There is this all, I don't know, I feel there's, yesterday there was a talk with female drummers, and in Portugal, in Monsanto, this whole tradition, it breathes out to the space, to the people, to the community. And it's one of the most beautiful, special places I've ever been in my life. So of course, and naturally, so over the years of working with Daniela, because I work with the municipality since 2018, thanks to a project of Ensemble Med. At the time, Rui Silva was in the project, and he just said, well, let's try. And he gave me the phone number of the chief division of culture, Paulo. I just harassed him for 3 days, calling nonstop. One time he just answered, and all the connection just began. But so gradually I started understanding, okay, this is a nice place to stay. This is a nice place to eat. This is a nice place to do this. This is a nice place to do that. And you kind of have to feel a little bit the feng shui of spaces, how the venues and they transform us, and how they can help building a project. And for example, for me, and of course in Portugal, like Dave said, I think it sounds a bit strange maybe, but the gastronomical part of it has always been very important for me. For example, in Portimão, in the pandemics, I organized an early music festival in a small Gothic church in the Algarve, where the NGO that organizes all these projects that I'm also in the board of direction is headquartered. And Sagres, Vila do Bispo, is really the west end of Europe, of Eurasia, actually. And the whole purpose of the artistic residencies that was joining musicians from different parts was actually on that safe place. Like they've said, you have 4 or 5 days where you can actually have a full experience on living the place and having all these fantastic memories, of course, of the experience. So I think it's really true. It's the acts in here, the active programming. It's always connected for me, of course, to, and I think for everyone that is organizing, is the genius loci, you know, the spirit of the place, and how to make people, artists in this case, feel good about it. So yes, sometimes, and you know, Portuguese fees are not maybe German fees. I wish we could have the same like wage conditions. And I've been since I work in programming maybe a bit less than 10 years, but I've done a lot of stupid mistakes like everyone, but gradually I understood that since the beginning maybe that yes, hosting, the word hosting is actually a very good word. Hosting is very important. So you don't have the most fantastic fee ever, but you have a full experience on the place. And I think usually everyone just wants to come back. And that's more or less for me.
Maybe we can have a look. You prepared also a video. I think it's from the last edition of the festival, right? Yes. Hey. And we could see at the end many sponsors or many organizations that supported you.
Well, basically, this project was result of funding from the Directorate General for the Arts in Portugal. Basically, for me, it starts on the funding. So I do the project if I have the funding. So it's if I don't have the money, I don't try. I don't try anything. I mean, and the funding in this case with state funding on this kind of plates. So and then the municipality also co-funded a little bit to support, and that was basically it. All the logos are also partners, of course.
Yeah, and you will do this festival this year again, once more.
Yes, we're still like defining the dates, but in principle will be last weekend of October, before the last weekend, 20 to 23rd. And I think you are coming again. And we have also a very special surprise that I think I can say it already. I'm very happy that the educators of Monsanto and Rui Silva are back in the project. So we will have the Portuguese frame drum playing very well represented. And I think it will be really, really very nice. We have a surprise there coming on, but I still can't speak about it. That I did an application for this European Festival Association. Might be that we could be considered for a partnership between festivals, but maybe I think in a week or so we will know more details.
Yes. So we have, sorry, we have a small interruption.
So meanwhile, I can ask something, Murat, Daniela, and how do you find those sponsors for someone who maybe is listening to us and want to make a festival or organize something? I mean, we didn't study for that. I don't know how to talk to a sponsor. I'm an artist, so maybe you can give us some clues. How do you find it? Is by yourself?
I understood. Okay, in my case, I think the architecture course gave me the framework, not the frame drum, but the framework of thinking. And I think I just realized on the beginning that I used to say in Utrecht, I had some colleagues that asked me, how can you like, I played in Raza, this world music venue in Utrecht, and I belong to early music, was not really the world. And I just said, you have to follow the crumbs. I don't know if in English makes any sense, but it's like, for example, you go to a concert and you know that the programmer is there. You stay in the end of the concert and you speak to the programmer and you're just not shy, or you can't be shy. You can't be shy. I'm very shy on certain situations, but on these ones, I just go and talk a lot of this informal networking that also I think we all have to do. And sometimes you feel that something is going on and you go for it and you don't give up. What that is mainly for finding the co-funding, for example, the relationships I have with municipalities, and I have steady relationships with circa 7 municipalities in Portugal, people that I know I can trust, and I know that they trust me. And for me, that's the most important thing, is trust. Like if you say you're going to do something, you have to do it, even if you like die trying. And for engaging partners, I think this is one of the most important things, is trust built, and don't be shy. And the other thing on writing applications, of course, not every artist is like inbuilt maybe with this desire, or I actually like very much to write applications, so I'm very lucky. But if not, I think it's right now in the beginning, maybe if you really want to go forward, there are people that can actually help you on that part. They're starting to happen in Portugal, to have more people that know how to write projects. So I think could be also an option, but maybe this is the Portuguese case. I don't know how it is in Europe and the rest of the world.
But you're right, Fao. So this is a general, let me say, a problem maybe that most of the musicians think like musicians. And I think, Daniela, maybe you give us a good motivation or a good ideas to go in another direction. And and what is your how do you benefit from all this work? I mean, that's really hard work. I mean, okay, you probably you earn money, so this is one part, but I think behind there is maybe another benefit or something that makes you happy. So can you describe it, or is there something? Not
Is
easy.
that a question? Is that a question to all of us, or?
Well, whoever wants to answer.
I'm going to answer a short one. Love. And I discovered the last year that in the festival, everyone was so happy and giving so much love, and that was enough. We don't earn money, all this volunteer work, but with the love of the people, help us to continue. It's like a kind of support. This feedback of energy also help us to feel more alive. And for me, that is enough, at least, because it was a hard time for us, a tough time to organize a festival, because we don't have sponsors like you guys or nothing. But at the end, that's the best gift. And in our case was love.
I just want to echo that. The one of the difficulties, is it a difficulty? I don't know. One of the, I'll call it a difficulty, is that when I call musicians, when I gather musicians and say, would you like to be part of blah? Musicians say, absolutely, I would love to. And I say, we don't have any money. They say, it doesn't matter, I want to be part of this. Now, that's something that musicians are very good at, but the rest of the world, maybe not so much. So it's very interesting. I'm one of the things that I would say about the whole business of cultural exchange and working with artists from different cultures is that it's very easy to go to the funding people to get money for airplane tickets and hotel rooms and rental cars. But when you say, I want the money to pay for the artists who've put their lives into learning their instruments, then it gets a little strange. You know what I mean? It gets a little, well, you know, it's about, and the thing is, for the artists, the music is irrelevant. The money is irrelevant. It's not, people don't do this for money. Otherwise you would be, you know, working in finance or something, you know. But it's from the perspective of a programmer. That's the fight that you have to have sometimes, is go, I want the artists to make a living here, as well as the people who, you know, move them from one country to another. And it's very tricky because you can't go to an airline unless you're Sting or somebody like that and say, we need free flights for everybody to come to the I'd also echo what Daniela said about being bold, about asking. I have a mentor who is like a cultural entrepreneurship mentor. She basically advises artists on how to negotiate the world that is not artists. And one of her things is, it's always the naughty child that gets the sweetie. It's always the naughty child who's going, can I have a sweetie? Can I have a sweetie, please? The good child doesn't get the sweetie. You know, you understand me? It's like you have to be bold. You have to ask people. And because I think programmers like this work. I think I mean, I'm not a programmer, so I can't think, but I think people who are looking around what, you know, if you're getting government funding to make a festival, or part of that government funding will come with provisos about how many women there are involved in the festival, how many people of color are involved in the festival, these kind of ideas. So when you say, I want to bring people from this country and this country together, then you're doing a lot of, you know, you understand what I'm saying.
I was thinking on maybe going back a little bit what Fau said on the benefit. Of course, benefit is a word very connected with the business world, but of course we have to do this for a reason. And I remember actually during the festival this year, I was a bit in a very maybe not the best place ever, because I had on my English not the best news on actually a funding from another project, but and the whole mood changed, of course, when you arrived to Monsanto and that energy. And afterwards, the people were telling me, this really seemed for me very like, how come, no? How 3 days can change something? But I really felt that it had impact on the people who actually did the frame drum course. Was it, for example, a colleague from the Algarve that was in a life also position that was a bit complicated, and this project like gave light to another possibility. He was almost giving up on being a musician, I think, that also Murat shared with me. And I had other younger students that were like, completely fascinated. And then when is next year's edition, and we want to come back. And that it's, of course, it's important how the artists feel. In this case, it was very short, it was 3 teachers, 3-4 was really, really short. So the impact was more, of course, on the community. Of course, the impact on the community in Monsanto is something that we still have to work on. The struggle is actually the connection with the people that actually live there all throughout the whole year, and not only for 3 days. But we for sure the benefit comes much from, if it changes a little bit on the life of someone, is already very good. And of course the financial parts, for example, for me, I can't conceive, or right now I was lucky enough to wasn't forced to organize something having to ask musicians to not to have their cachet. For example, I was doing also the artistic direction of an eco festival in Idanha in 2019, that actually before I was asked to do this, it was a pro bono festival that artists were supposed to come and just be happy for being there 3 days. And I think they all love to do that. But I'm very much connected with the a bit activism on the cultural sector. And I think we really have to fight for this. And I do all I can right now in Portugal. We have very nice, very good, actually, organizations that help musicians to understand their rights, like Plateia, Ação Cooperativista. And we're all like very mad at the minister for doing some weird cuts. And okay, we really have to try the best we can on putting our professional world alive, and has working the closest possible to all the other worlds that live with us. So it is a bit also my experience right now.
Thank you. Maybe now we can focus on one other festival from Colombia. Fau, maybe you can introduce a little bit your festival, and we will watch the video, or shall we watch the video before?
No, I introduce a little and then we watch the video, just a little. So basically, okay, I organized festivals before in Taiwan and in Colombia when I was working in university. When I studied in the university also, we were studying composition. And my idea was already in second semester, like, okay, let's gather together and let's show our compositions to the public. And since then, I have been organizing. And then I live in Asia for many years. And then we came with my wife here to Colombia. And then we saw that there were not these kind of world music festivals that we find in other countries. So we decided to create this festival that is called Rhythms of the World. And the idea was to focus a little on rhythm, not necessarily percussion or just rhythmic training, but you know, the word rhythm is big, right? So we focus on rhythms of the world, something from Latin America, and people who play music from other parts of the world here in Colombia. Sometimes we invite guests from outside Colombia, but it's not so easy because we don't have a sponsor. So we start to create this festival small. We were a group of people who normally gather here in my house, right, to play and to jam, and everybody drink beer and jam and, you know, this kind of stuff. And then when I told me, okay, why we done this and we open it to the public, right? Most of us, we play handpan, frame drums, flutes, native flutes from America. And then we say, okay, let's start. So we start this small group. I'm talking about 10, 15 people, no more. We start to move to a small place, an auditorium, and we start to invite people and slowly start to grow. We have been already doing it for 5 years, but this is a festival without a sponsor. This is why I was asking Daniela about the sponsors, because we try and try and try. And still we have some help. It's not that we don't have any help, but it's very, very small. In places like South America, this is very difficult, the art, but still we love it. We do it with a lot of love. And we know it's going to grow more and more, and we will have and we will find some sponsors for sure in the future. So I want to share with you the experience with all the world, that we are making a festival here in Colombia, and that you are all welcome to come to play and also to help us with the sponsors. Do you speak Spanish, Daniela? And also just as public, if you want to come here and enjoy this exotic country of South America, it's not so expensive, the ticket, food is cheap. And so we are trying to do that, to make this network, right, with all the world, to show that we can also do it, and that learning from you guys, learning from what Daniela says, to learn how to be a host, learn how to do the things well. Last year, we had the amazing opportunity to be in TAMBURI MUNDI with Murat, and Murat is our teacher, number one, not frame door teacher, organizer of a festival teacher. Amazing person. And you know, every one of you guys know Uli and all his family and all the crew, the sound engineers. It's like I was going to the university when I went to TAMBURI MUNDI last year to learn how to do a festival, to learn how to be nice, also to learn how to be serious when you need to be serious, but in a kind way. That this is so difficult because you get stressed and you're like, you are not on time or whatever. But this is something we are learning from you guys. So thank you very much. So I want to show you a video of what happened last year. This is something I did very fast. I just cut some fragments of some videos that we have, and I put it together. It's not edited. The sound is the real sound. But let's just see this to share. Thank you.
Son, beware our God.
Wow. Wow, amazing. Wow. So many slots and so many stages. It's Uli also was here. She just watched it. She said, wow, how do they organize this? The coordination, everything. It's
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, the video was a little like slow, some parts, but it's okay. It's just to show a little what we are trying to do here. And what is beautiful is that the energy was amazing. The people was happy. We tried to learn from you guys how to, be a good host, try to give them good food to the artist. We don't pay too much, but still everyone gets paid. And you're not going to believe, guys, we survive with the tickets we sell. It's amazing. I don't know how, but I mean, I don't know if we're going to survive next year or this year with that, because we really need support. But so far, with the small tickets, as you can see, there's not many people. This is not thousands of people. This is probably just 100 people. But still, we could manage so far with the tickets, but it's tough. But at the same time, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and you are always welcome here.
And yes, but did you try something like crowdfunding? Don't know. Maybe it might be an idea to make it really like an international spot. Say, okay, there is a very nice and important activity, important festival in Colombia, and so that not only people from Colombia or South America, they support this project. I mean, maybe other people in other countries can support it, especially people who like music, and maybe that might be an idea to spread this your festival and say that, we need support, and I'm sure if we spread it in the right way to the right people, there is even if I don't, even if I don't take part there, I would like to support activities when I know, something is going on in the world, something good vibes. So it's not necessary that this happens here. It's because we have to think global, and the more positive things happen in the world, the more positive things come back. So I don't know. It's just one idea. Maybe we can think later of how we don't have to speak details now, but yeah, to have kind of networking with different smaller percussion institutions. They say, okay, wow, that's amazing work the guys are doing, and this should continue. And I'm so at the moment I have a positive feeling. I don't know. At least we should try.
Thank you very much. Well, this is actually a great opportunity to here in Tamburi Mundi to show the festival to the world. And yes, we are working also on crowdfunding. Last year we have 2 people who donate. That's great, just 2, but okay, it's a good beginning. And this year we will open a crowdfunding international one. And I think it's a process. Slowly people are coming. Last year, maybe from 5 or 6 countries, they came to the festival, from Germany, from France, from Canada, from Japan, from United States, from Mexico. So I think slowly people know, and we also like to keep it a little not so big, not mainstream or things like that, because then I think you guys know when it's that big and that amount of money, then it's no more personal. I really like Tamburi Mundi because Tamburi Mundi is big, but it still is something, right? It's something personal. And so I don't know if it's okay if I change the rules, but I want to ask you, Murat, Coskun, how do you create Tamburi Mundi? Because it's really a school for all of us. And how do you manage all these things and all the questions you made us now go back to you? And please share a little about the experience with Tamburi Mundi, if you guys agree.
Well, I'd like to do it very short. So we started, or I had this idea many, I think more than 20 years ago. So there was a project with Andrea Piccioni, Gilles Sondasis. We were in a trio, and there was already one small event where frame drummers came together. It was in Barcelona. I think the first frame drummers meeting there. And so the idea was that this goes from city to another city. And so an idea was that we do it in Freiburg. And then suddenly after one edition, I think, or the second, they stopped in Barcelona. They said, sorry, we cannot continue. There was something. But I was thinking, oh, it's a pity because I already started to organize something in Freiburg. And so that was, and then I said, okay, I will continue without the guys in Barcelona. I will try to do something here. I mean, in that time there was no connection with Facebook something, so it was like calling people, writing, okay, emails, but also this was not so easy. So the connection was a lot with phones, and so I said here, okay, I will do a meeting here in Freiburg, invite some musicians, and somehow the municipality here, they somehow get it, this information. They asked me, oh, Murat, you would like to do a bigger event, like establish a percussion event in Freiburg. So it was a little bit like Dave told me. So they asked me to do something. They said, here is a small amount of money. I said, okay, we can do a small festival, 4 days. And I didn't think of doing a festival that is continuously, so it was really a little bit egoistic because I wanted to learn. I wanted to bring my colleagues, because I know in that time there was no YouTube. I mean, there was YouTube probably, but no videos of any drummers. I don't know. So you had to see them, you had to bring them, or you had to go there. So I was thinking, okay, I will be here and I will bring all my favorite drummers like Andrea Piccioni, because I was in love with this tamburello. So the idea was more coming together, learn from them. So, and that was my motivation, but it suddenly, the audience in Freiburg, it's crazy. So that is a second point. So the first was my motivation that I wanted to do this. The second is Freiburg is a very special city. So I think this doesn't work in not many cities in Germany, maybe in no other, because some are too big. For example, in Berlin, there is already too much activity. And so Tamburi Mundi would be something very small. No one would realize that something happens there. So Freiburg is not a very small, like 200,000 inhabitants. So it's okay. But if you have something here that is new, people, wow, they are open, and they have a different mentality than the rest of Germany. They are curious. They like world music, ancient music also, and contemporary music. So I think Freiburg was the right place to start this. And so we started the first time, and then it was a big success. I said, okay, we continue the second time. The second time was bigger. So, and then I said, okay, if this is such a good festival, we can do it another time. And then we get a little more support. I said, oh, I need more. And so that was like, yes, it grew by itself, more or less. And also I was on tour a lot. I was touring from festival to festival. I played there as a musician, as a percussionist, and I had contacts with other percussion players, with other festivals. So in this way, we had collaborations with, Iranian institutes, for example, because Freiburg and Iran has a partnership. So we could invite musicians from Iran very easily with this partnership. I could go there and search the musicians, made researches. So there were some moments that I could, like Daniela said, if you have the connections, and if you have a good feeling, and also Daniela, you're right, the trust is the most important. So for me, my aim was not to create a festival in the world. My aim was bring people together. So this is still the motivation, is not about changing my job. Now I get a festival promoter, everything. No, it's like it's a hobby for me. It's and I think it will stay a hobby, because otherwise it doesn't work, I think. But in that way, we could survive. Also, we tried to adapt. Also, our team grew, of course, because I cannot do everything alone. The first 2 years, I had to manage many things alone, and then we started to get more money from the municipality. So in that way, we could build up a small team, also a really small team. And also I was always looking, because also they offered me, said, oh, but you can go to a bigger venue, because Ewerk is fine, but is not the biggest venue. They said, why you don't want to make the festival bigger? I said, no, if it's bigger, you lose a lot, maybe you grow, but it's like you feel something with hormones, right? And then it grows, but inside is not the quality. So for me, it was not about we have to grow every year, because this is not my philosophy to have the biggest or the I don't know what. So the philosophy is more where can we go with this festival? It's like a boat, people come in, and on the other side we have to adapt to the modernity, of course, because we don't want to be a old-fashioned festival because we are getting old. I mean, this festival is since 18, 19 years. So we, since many years, we also include younger musicians, younger percussionists. So also, Dave, I mean, you know it. You also included in your program in Freiburg all these young guys, and that was brilliant because they learned a lot from you. And so this is a platform where it's not only about cultural international or different countries where you can meet. It's also generations. It's also about different kind of music. We have ancient music because frame drum is open for many things. We have contemporary music compositions, and now also Dave with electronic. I mean, this is something we want to give a platform and to offer something. And so we are more the people who try to coordinate and that the atmosphere is good, and yes, also to coordinate the different styles, because we cannot invite 5 Iranian drummers at the same time. It's somehow we have to choose. This is not easy because from my side, everyone can come. But the reality is different. So so that's the way. The situation now is that we are trying to get in contact with different musicians from all over the world, and we have this online format. Also to see what happens. I mean, sometimes you have to try out so you cannot plan everything. Sometimes you have to go and see, okay, so we are on the other side, we are always very careful. So we don't risk too much because we are a small community, a small house. If we risk too much, it can damage. So we are looking for small changes or small things. And we don't have to rush. I mean, there is no, how can I say, no point that we want to reach. It's not like, okay, in 5 years I have to be there. Maybe in 5 years I'm here. But so we have no, I think this is this gives us also a more relaxed feeling. So not to make a pressure on our own, just to see what is going on, and to be like a big how do you say, bowl, and you can feel everything inside. So that's a little bit the story and the philosophy maybe of Tamburi Mundi, and I'm happy that we have now many different generations, also students from like Yusuf. I mean, all them. I mean, he is already now a musician, but he was a student here, and so it's really mixing, and so that makes me happy. Yeah. Sorry, I talked too long.
And your son now is a teacher.
Yes, my son is also, yeah. Yes. So, yeah, Dave. Yes.
There's something that's it's a really interesting idea it's going through the conversation that we're having, and it's the conflict between what we're doing and how it has to be done in the way the world is. So we're talking about gathering people together, sharing, being open with ideas, and at the same time, without the kind of, you know, the eternal capitalist thing of we have to make money, it has to be bigger and better every year. We have to sell more tickets. And that's a very tricky balancing act, because you end up having to say what we need is enough money to make this thing happen, and that's it. And we will spend that money and it'll be great. And there isn't a profit to be made. There isn't everyone gets paid. So it's a very interesting balancing act, but certainly as a promoter, because it's much easier to get a big venue, get a well-known person, put them in the venue, fill the venue up, and take all that money. But you don't have the same quality of experience, which is what we've all been talking about. Is the quality of the experience is the only thing that matters, really. And in terms of cultural exchange, if this ties back to the stuff we were talking about early on, about where artists come from one country to another. The quality of the experience that people have changes their opinion of everything to do with it. So if, for example, if I go to Colombia and I come to the festival and I have an amazing time at the festival and I meet lots of great people, my opinion of Colombia personally changes. And this is true for people traveling from, people come from Iran, and where we are certainly in the West, that we are. There's a musical thing about this, there's that hierarchy of Western classical music, and underneath that then there's jazz, and then underneath that and then right down there's kind of ethnic music. Whereas in other parts of the world, that's the other way around. Western classical music just isn't important, because it's not part of the culture there at all. But I think the thing that is important for folks that are kind of listening to understand is that what the job Murat and Fau and Daniela have, not so much me, because I is to keep this balance. And it's a very tough thing to do, besides the fact that everyone asks you questions all day, every day for the festival. I remember this, Murat, that anytime you come out of the office, people are they come to you because they all know that you're the boss, and go, "Oh, Murat, do you have a frame drum?" But that balancing act it's the power in this, and in many other things as well, to be able to hold the space and keep the balance.
Actually, you just mentioned what for me the language that is percussion is this intercultural dialogue and plurality that allows, and it's for sure fascinating. For example, right now for the percussion festival in Portimão for this year, actually in September, we're dialoguing with the Afghanistan National Institute of Music, that actually after the Taliban regime took over in August 2021, they actually were hosted, I don't know what's the English word, in December 2021 in Braga, here, actually, where I am right now, Braga and Guimarães. And the Orquestra Zora, this is a feminine orchestra of Afghanistan culture, and all this understanding of the other side of the world. I was like myself the other day writing on, I'm sorry, I will sound very like European centered, but I was trying to understand the differences between Central Asia, South Asia, and how is it Afghanistan and Persia and Iran, how is it connected, and it's amazing. It's a wonderful new world, and I feel so stupid sometimes not to grasp the world has our little Europe and America, And of course, I love Latin American. I discovered more Latin America when I was studying in the Netherlands, but I feel like it takes a while to, and we don't have, maybe I feel sometimes we don't have the enough years on this earth to grasp it all. But at least with percussion, we really try. And for example, now I'm talking thanks to a Portuguese, a student of the students, not really a student, as a participant in Encontos was asking me and telling me about this Iranian frame drummer. And now we're programming her in Portimão. So I think the world is connected thanks to percussion and the language. And particularly, I know frame drumming is also maybe very a particular world that is built on intercultural dialogue, and I really think is amazing. And definitely, we have to fight this not this chronocentrism that is thinking that the music of now is the best one. I totally, from early music, fight against chronocentrism, and I try to fight this geocentrism. That to try to think that the music of my own country is the best in the world. Of course, I love, but I also love to know what's going around. And that's fascinating.
Yeah, just to add something very quick, I try. So yes, I agree very much with what Murat says. We need to keep it small because that's how you keep the warmth. And also what Dave says, the quality of what we are showing to the people is not about showing the best, most popular artist and get the money. Yes. And I also agree with what Daniela says. It's about showing for example, in Colombia, show them what is music from Iran. Last year, we were showing music from Rajasthan and dances and explaining a little what is the word gypsy and where it comes from and blah, blah, blah. So this is important. Yes, I agree. But I'm going to add another ingredient to that. And is that in our festival, we are discovering, okay, what you said, good food. This is important and it's serious, right? The good food. And we took the festival out of the city, just 30 minutes out of the city, 40 minutes out of the city. Now we're in the nature. And we don't need to tell the people to take off their shoes. They take off their shoes by their own and then walk the grass and hug the trees. And this kind of energy start to happen naturally. And this is amazing. And we start to put also some workshops, not just about music, but a little about sound therapy, gong bath, all this kind of stuff. So we are realizing that it's not just an entertainment festival or an entertainment event. This is more than that. This is a life changer thing, or an opportunity, just an opportunity to see yourself, to see the world, to share it in peace, happy, enjoying life. Not from the intellectual point of view of the musician. Okay, I'm going to learn this. It's not a school. It's an opportunity to grow as human beings. So then our job, and then what you are doing, Murat, with Tamburi Mundi, is an opportunity for all of us to get together and grow as human beings, understand each other, stop the war, stop the consumerism, stop all these things that are taking us backwards, and let's get together and enjoy, and let's try to help each other. I think this is the most important thing at the end, right? At the end, of course, the music is important, but at the end is that we are human beings growing.
Thank you, Val. So
I'd like to add to this, because I know this is it's idealistic thinking, but it's actually this is the way of the thinking that will bring us a future. What I wanted to say was what's interesting about frame drumming specifically is that, and this comes from experience of playing in other festivals with other groups of musicians, frame drummers, it's very difficult to be a frame drummer and have an ego, because there are no pop star frame drummers. There is one frame drummer who has a Grammy and everybody knows who he is. So that is an amazing gift, that because I, again, at Tamburi Mundi, but in other contexts, if this drum is involved, if the culture of a drum that you can carry around with you that doesn't completely dominate everyone who's in the room, it's impossible to bring your ego there. You have to collaborate. You have to exchange ideas. I think also because the frame drum is not coming from the sort of Western, what's the word for this? The Anglosphere, that's the word. It's coming from many other traditions, that it has almost a unique ability to move around. One of the interesting things, being a bowron player, Ireland is an island. It's like, where did the bowron come from? There's no evidence, there's no proof of this, but it has to have moved. Someone took the instrument or an instrument like it with them on a boat and played a tune to somebody, this kind of idea. That's how we used to exist. Now, of course, we have the internet, so you understand what I'm saying here, that the ability to meet each other and to take away our, you need a certain amount of ego to get onto the stage, but after that, and I think these kind of festivals and these kind of encounters of musicians, and I guess there's a particular kind of person that's drawn to the instrument as well. I don't know what it would be like, Murat, if you happened to play the trombone and had a trombone festival. I think it might be different. I don't know.
It might be, I think. So I will learn first to play the trombone and then we see. Maybe it will be very funny. I will invite many funny people. Yeah, so dear friends, so more or less we are, if you have some last words or last sentences or last idea, we talked about some topics, of course, but I think some important things. And if you have any things to say, last comment, yes, Fao.
Yes, just the last one. Keep it, Murat. Thank you for everything. Thank you for all the team in Tamburi Mundi for all these years. Thank you also, Daniela, Dave, and everyone who is trying to do something in the world with music and with love, and just keep the rock and roll and keep the music going on all the time. And also, welcome to Colombia anytime. Thank you.
I also wanted to thank you the opportunity once more to be here with all of you. It was wonderful to hear all the experiences. And it's true, also thank you to Murat. Everyone, participant felt all this beautiful energy that Murat has. And it's right, I don't know if he would be a trombone player, how would it be the festival? But that's for sure connected with people. We are, our energy, and that's what we're here for. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniela. And maybe we will meet in Encontos in autumn. I hope so. So first we go to Encontos, then to Colombia. And also we have Daniela. Dennis is also in the YouTube channel. Our friend from Ukraine.
Okay, Okay, because we did an application, although while I don't think the European Festival Association gets mad if you say that we actually won an application, it's going to be out the 31st of January with the Denis from Bala Dansa in Ukraine. I don't know how to spell it very correctly, but we had this beautiful energy also doing this in, like, imagine the situation in Ukraine right now. And I hopefully Denis will be with us in Encontos and Dina from a Svits festival in Lithuania. So I think will be really, really nice.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Daniela, for this work also. Wow, it's Dave.
I will say thank you again, because there's nothing wrong with gratitude, for this conversation, which has been really nice. And I think for me the point of meeting with people from outside your culture is to learn something about them and learn something about yourself, so that I simply wouldn't be the person that I am and the musician that I am had I not met people who are not the same color as me, not from the same country as me. That has been my university, is to and what's difficult about that is that it was not comfortable at first. It's not comfortable to be in a room full, and I say this with understanding that I'm a white man. I spend a lot of time hanging out with people who look like me. And when I put myself in a position where I was in a room full of brown and black people for whom I lived far over to the west, you know, they lived in the center of the world, and I didn't understand the language. I didn't understand the nuance of things. You know, it's like, are people angry with me? No, they're not angry. They're just passionate. So all of that, this is what we're trying to do, is to demonstrate that other people are saving here. You know, it's that and our neighbors, our friends, and borders are imaginary. We made borders up. Human beings made them up and drew them on a map. They don't exist. The people in Ukraine, in Iran, they are the same as us. They have the same hopes and dreams. They have the same desire to, they want their kids to grow up in a peaceful world. They want to have a good life, just in the same way that we do. So in our small way, we move in that direction together. And thanks again, Murat, and thanks, Fao and Daniela. Daniela, come around for coffee. I'm in Bomberal. Come for coffee.
Okay. I hope we meet in Freiburg once. Maybe this year, I hope. I don't know. So we will see. Thank you, and have a good night and a good day, Fao, because I think it's afternoon in Colombia. Great. And tomorrow we have our Impulse workshop, so you are invited if you want to come. And in the evening we have Mariam Hatef from Iran. She's our guest. And from Ukraine, Denis. Denis, he will teach us his composition that he did. So he will share some music. Okay, so good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.